Hello, my name is Mike Albans, and welcome to my presentation on content security, data breaches, and hacking and the impact on the entertainment industry. This presentation will focus on the current climate of cybersecurity and content piracy, but in order to understand the current challenges, let's take a look at the history of content piracy. The history started long before the age of the internet. During the silent film period, a form of film larceny called bicycling became popular. This was when exhibitors essentially would screen the motion picture for an extended period of time after the agreed duration. In 1910, piracy developed into the process of duping or using positive prints and making new negatives to reproduce an unlimited number of duped prints. By the 60s, bootleg cam recordings known as cam rips became the new form of unlicensed film recording. 1979 ushered in the age of home video recording through VHS tapes. Pirates were making big money from selling unauthorized VHS copies of copyrighted material. By the 90s and the entrance of the World Wide Web, piracy went online, and in 1999, Napster provided a way for users to share digital information for free. Following Napster's digital free information creation, file-sharing sites all over the internet emerged. Thus, through peer-to-peer file sharing, pirates found another channel to distribute unauthorized content. There have been a multitude of data breaches and hacking hidden in entertainment companies over the past 10 years. Some of the most recent events are displayed in this graphic. In 2011, 77 million users' account details were hacked on Sony's PlayStation Network. Again, in 2014, a major hack, which was blamed on North Korea, where personal information was stolen and damaging emails from execs was released to the public. The hacker group also stole an unreleased major film called The Interview, a comedy about a proposed assassination on North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il. This was met with the hackers threatening catastrophic events if the title was released. The Yahoo hack of 2013 affected 1 billion users. The hackers used forged cookies, bits of code that stay in the user's browser cache so that a website doesn't require login with every visit. The cookies could allow an intruder to access users' accounts without a password by misidentifying anyone using them as the owner of an email account. Yahoo said the stolen user account information may have included names, email addresses, telephone numbers, dates of birth, hash passwords, and in some cases encrypted or unencrypted security questions and answers. In 2013, video game company Ubisoft was hacked and user account database was breached by hackers who gained access to usernames, email addresses, and encrypted passwords. Fast forward to early 2017, when reports surfaced that hackers stole Disney's upcoming film Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. Threatening to release the film online if a demand for ransom wasn't met, Disney CEO Bob Iger said that the company had not been hacked to his knowledge and that the threat was a fake. Though nothing was compromised, this incident was significant due to the attention the hacking group garnered and the fact that Disney could not 100% validate whether they were hacked and had almost succumbed to digital blackmail. In late 2016, Larson Media, a post-production house, was hacked by a group called Dark Overlord. The group stole the entire unreleased season of Netflix's Orange is the New Black. Larson paid the demanded ransom, and the hacking group then went to Netflix seeking the same before Netflix involved the FBI. The details were not known until 2017, when Netflix publicly announced the hack. Entertainment companies and all companies alike who use the internet and utilize network storage and servers are vulnerable to a data breach or hacking incident. Incidents can occur due to the result of internal threats such as employees, weak security controls such as no security clearances for guest visitors, and weak passwords on servers. OS and applications are vulnerable, and cases include servers or data centers running on an older version of Windows. Involvement can include third parties such as hacking groups like Anonymous, as well as competitors who could infiltrate and compromise data via methods such as utilizing shared systems and networks or FTP sites. Employees could even be a source and in most cases are involved. The Sony breach of 2014 is believed to involve either a current or former employee. This same case also saw the possibility of North Korea's involvement, which highlights the possibility of foreign nation-states and even terrorist groups as culprits. In almost all cases of data breach, confidential data is at risk, and importantly, one of the key assets of a production company or studio is at risk in the form of creative content, such as unreleased films, scripts, or even video games. Monetary gain is most often the driver and the goal, especially if there is an asset involved such as an unreleased film or other creative content. Normally, the data breach also results in stolen employee information, which can be sold on the dark web. Some of the most significant immediate threats and responses across all industries are as follows. Financial damages. While there are numerous contributors to the rise in cybercrime, which is expected to cost the world more than $6 trillion by 2021, up from $3 trillion in 2015, The most obvious predictor is the massive expansion of the global attack surface which hackers target. Microsoft predicts by 2020, data volumes online will be 50 times greater than today. Personal info is also at risk as the human attack surface is to reach 4 billion people by 2020. In other words, 4 billion people will be at risk for having their personal information stolen by hackers by 2020. Ransomware. Global ransomware damage costs are predicted to exceed $5 billion in 2017. That's up from $325 million in 2015, a 15 times increase in 2 years. Primary responses to these threats revolve around infrastructure investment, and some of these responses are as follows. Cybersecurity resources. Cybersecurity spending is expected to exceed $1 trillion from 2017 to 2021. Juniper Research released a report which said cybercrime will cost businesses over $2 trillion by 2019. The increasing threats of cybercrime has ignited a wave of higher spending in entertainment company security budgets, with the average total information security budget jumping from $3.6 million in 2015 to $4.5 million in 2016. Cybercrime job fulfillment. Cybercrime will more than triple the number of unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs, which is projected to reach 3.5 million by 2021. Information sharing. The FBI has developed strong relationships with private industry and the public. InfoGuard is a premier example of success of public and private partnerships. Under this initiative, various law enforcements work together to ward off attacks against critical infrastructure. So what does all this mean? Last year, Gina Rometty, IBM's chairman, president, and CEO, said, "Cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world." She's right. During the next 5 years, cybercrime might become the greatest threat to every person, place, and thing in the world. The entertainment industry's specific response to cybercrime and piracy is to build an infrastructure that does not allow and deters the possibility of any type of data breach or compromise on content and data. The MPAA has established security guidelines which are not required but recommended to be followed. The MPAA security primary guidelines are: don't lose content, don't let someone steal content, if content is lost or stolen, report it immediately, and don't let security measures disrupt production. Starting in 2008, these security assessments were performed using a standardized survey model, process, and report. Since then, over 500 facilities have been inspected in 35 countries. Best practices are organized according to the MPAA Content Security Model, which provides a framework for assessing a facility's ability to protect a client's content. Best practices fall under 3 primary categories: common guidelines, application security, and cloud security. Common guidelines are comprised of security topics across 3 areas: management system, physical security, and digital security. Another primary area in MPAA covered in all guidelines is risk management, which includes risk assessment and where appropriate controls need to be implemented, as well as asset classification, which is a 4-step process, which is as follows: identifying and classifying assets, determining minimum security control sets, implementing controls, and monitoring and evaluating effectiveness. In addition to common guidelines within the MPAA Content Security Model are guidelines covering application security and cloud security. Application security consists of 31 best practice guidelines identified as security standards and cover 3 main topics: development lifecycle, authentication and access, as well as secure coding and systems. Cloud security consists of 37 best practice guidelines and 3 topics, covering organization and management, operations, and data security. All components of the MPAA Content Security Model are drawn from relevant ISO standards, security standards, and industry best practices. They are extremely robust and cover hundreds of standards and recommendations. Disney has developed their own security standards, which takes the MPAA model and layers in additional infrastructure requirements such as cameras and badge access requirements in all areas of a facility. The FTC has published a response on how to respond to data breaches and are covered in 3 topics: securing operations, fixing vulnerabilities, and notifying appropriate parties. Securing your operations is inclusive of assembling a team of experts and identifying a data forensic team in order to understand the source and scope of the breach. Consulting with legal counsel will be able to advise you of laws that may have been implicated. Importantly, a company should remove improperly posted info from the web and document the investigation. Also, interviewing people who discovered the breach, as well as not destroying any evidence, will help in the investigation. Fixing vulnerabilities takes into consideration service providers and whether personal information is accessible. Network segmentation and device encryption are also focused upon. Also incorporates a measure requiring a communication plan that reaches all affected audiences such as employees, customers, investors, business partners, and other stakeholders. It is recommended to not publicly share information that might put consumers at further risk. Notifying appropriate parties includes understanding and determining your legal requirements. Most states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands have enacted legislation requiring notification of security breaches involving personal information. In addition to contacting legal counsel, local and federal law enforcement may need to be notified. And importantly, notification to those who are affected will allow individuals to understand that they are at risk so they can also respond. Throughout this presentation, we have covered the high-level threat of cybercrime, specifically how it could and how it has affected the entertainment industry. The MPA Content Security Guidelines are the base point of how an entertainment company can respond to threats. In addition, the following recommendations could ensure that an entertainment and media company is further protected from data and content security threats. Investment in infrastructure and cybersecurity measures. Following MPA guidelines specifically as it relates to digital and data security protocols. Going above and beyond in implementing cameras, similar to that of the requirements of Disney, which are considered the highest level of security auditing in media. In case of a data breach, following FTC response protocol. In addition, all facilities should have a specific course of action catered towards the genre of content and the portfolio of clientele on how to react. In case of a ransom, no ransom should be paid and all threats should be taken seriously. And lastly, developing one's own policies and protocols specific to the business catered towards operations. Every business is different, and not all businesses within the same industry have the same operational or technical structure. Therefore, the MPA guidelines, for example, are just that, guidelines. They are considered best practices, but it is up to an individual company to ensure that additional levels of security are implemented in order to deter, avoid, and respond to potential data and/or content breaches. This brings the presentation to a conclusion. I hope that I was able to provide some new insight into the data and content threats in the entertainment industry. Thank you for your time and consideration.